Welcome back again to our famous aircraft flights. This flight is the famous and the largest passenger aircraft carrier Airbus A380, which can carry up to 600 passengers based on the airline configurations. The model used is Emirates, which lands in San Francisco Airport around 3 to 4 p.m. or so daily. This short flight is from San Jose International Airport to San Francisco International in California, with full flight plan and Autopilot and ILS Auto Landing. Now we're creating the flight plan. This A380 model in the flight software doesn't come with any sim-brief flight planning, so just use the built-in planner. For departure route, we will be using the Almedan to climb the mountains east of San Jose Airport, and then turn around and come back over the bay, the usual route, crossing the Dumbarton and San Mateo Bridge, and start ILS descent around 10.1 nautical miles at the Heman Waypoint, which is the standard, and land on the runway 28L. Okay, now we're loading the flight. The best way to fly any or all flights is with full 360 VR cockpit, and obviously we at PreMotion use motion actuators for the flight and also sound and vibration feedbacks to get as realistic as possible. However, for this recording purpose and to get clear video recording, we do this flight on non-VR.
7007 heavy ready for departure runway 30 right IFR to San Francisco.
Okay, we're all set on the runway at San Jose International to take off. Just quickly adjusting all the lights to bright so we can clearly see everything better. I won't be explaining the basics here. This is more an intermediate/advanced level flight to just show the use of full autopilot and ILS landing. This flight is for quick reference for autopilot and ILS, and we won't go into all the checklist or for full startup. We will cover the startup of the flight from cold in a different video.
Clear to land runway 30 left.
Just a quick show around of the exterior of the plane for those who might not be very familiar with the plane. The Airbus A380. Personally, my favorite, is also one of the planes that requires very little input and a joy to fly. And obviously I prefer the side-stick joystick of Airbus better than the Boeing planes, which I think gives more precision control than yokes, especially in some windy or turbulent situations where manual control is needed.
2-tree heavy San Jose Tower. Altimeter tree 0.07 wind tree 07 at 4. Cleared ILS runway tree 0 left approach. Cleared ILS runway tree 0 left approach. United 162 tree heavy.
Okay, I'm now opening the VFR map and ATC panel to communicate. Although the ATC here is set to auto respond, so we don't have to do much, just assume the co-pilot is doing that. The only thing we will do is stick to 4,000 feet altitude, where the ATC will ask us to get to 7,000 or so, which we can ignore as it's a very short flight and no need to be above 4,000. Now we can check the flaps lever, set it to 50%, and then turn off the brakes for takeoff. The A380 takes off around 140 to 150 knots. And surprisingly, unlike no other large passenger jets, it can even land at 130 to 135 knots. Now let's set the altitude to around 5,000 feet, and then set the speed to around 275 knots. So after takeoff, we can set auto, throttle/autopilot, so the plane can manage the speed. Don't enable autopilot until well after takeoff. Same goes for auto throttle. Also make sure the flight director switches are set to on position.
07 heavy, turn next taxiway.
Okay, now we're all ready to take off. Basically throttle to full power and the pull back and lift off around 140 to 150 knots.
Clear tree 07 heavy, turn next taxiway.
Okay, it's liftoff time, and then set the landing gear position to up, the flaps to 0.
Clear tree 07 heavy, exit.
Now let's turn on the autopilot and then set the auto throttle. Now you can see as soon as the autopilot is set, it will catch on to the navigation automatically and start turning to catch the flight plan route. Sorry, forgot to set the flaps to 0. Sorry, forgot to set the flaps to 0. Okay, everything looks good. The flight is turning to catch the path. Auto throttle is set. Remember, we're not going to get to 9,000 feet. We can ignore the ATC. We will stay around 4,000 feet or so. We have to be at least 4,000 feet to ensure we can climb the East Mountains and turn safely.
Promotioning 7007 heavy traffic is 3 o'clock, 4 miles at 6,800 feet Airbus A380. Report them in sight. Exit tree 5 Niner heavy traffic is 11 o'clock, 3 miles.
Okay, it's still doing the turn. You can see the plane on the VFR map. It will take a wide turn and eventually catch up with the route.
Exit tree 5 Niner heavy have the traffic.
Just checking the altitude settings. Let's reduce it from 5,000 feet to 4,000 feet, like I said. Ignore the ATC. It's sometimes not accurate for very short flights.
Promotioning 7007 heavy, you are 27 miles southeast. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 28 left approach via Faith transition. Cleared to Faith. Promotioning 7007 heavy climb and
Okay,
maintain 7.
we are now heading into the East Mountains towards Almaden.
Climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 28 left approach via Faith transition. Clear to Faith. Promotioning 7007 heavy.
Promotioning 7007 heavy, contact Oakland Center on 127.45. Good day.
127.45. Promotioning 7007 heavy. Goodbye.
Oops, something is wrong the auto throttle. I guess I might not have said it by clicking. Our speed is excessive. Let's reduce it to 270 knots or so and reset the auto throttle. We can quickly reduce the speed using the airspeed brakes.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
Oakland Center Southwest 2488 Heavy is at 9,700 feet, climbing flight level 240. Southwest 2488 Heavy, Oakland Center altimeter 30.08 radar contact.
Okay,
Continue to
speed is reducing now, which is good.
Oakland Center United 611 Heavy is at 16,600 feet, climbing flight level 270. United 611 Heavy, Oakland Center altimeter 30.08 radar contact. Continue to BYRDY. Promotioning 7007 Heavy, contact NorCal approach on 133.905. Good day.
2,500.
133.905. Promotioning 7007 heavy. Goodbye.
Porter 669er Heavy, contact Oakland Center on 126.85. Good day.
Sorry, just turning off the landing lights. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to follow the whole checklist here. It's a quick reference flight for just Autopilot and ILS Landing. Okay, the plane is now fully aligned with the route after the turn. Since it's a big plane, it takes a wider, longer turns. If you notice, we've set the altitude to 3,100 feet, which is what the ATC will tell us to do. This is fine. This is the final altitude for ILS approach/descend, which is at the Heeman waypoint, if you see the map, which is around 10.1 nautical miles from the runway. We will also now reduce the speed and keep it around 200 to 220 knots, and later lower it to 165 knots. Forgot to turn the speed brakes off. I'm turning them off now. Not a big problem, but just consumes more fuel with the engines trying to compensate for the braking and get to the required speed. Okay, we're now approaching the bay. We'll be crossing the Dumbarton Bridge.
Promotioning 7007 heavy climb and maintain 5,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 5,000 feet, pre-motioning 7007
Again,
heavy.
ignore the ATC. We will just stay the set 3,100 feet. Now, what I'm showing you is the ILS button. Turn this to on to see the ILS acquisition on the PFD, the primary flight display. There will be two pink diamonds that will align on the horizontal and vertical axis. Once we hit approach button later, when both are aligned, which means the ILS is spot on and active. Okay, now we're close to our final descent point. So let's reduce our speed to around 165 knots or so, and then set the flaps to about 50%. We have to wait for the speed to come down below 200 knots to set the flaps.
Promotioning 7007 heavy descent and maintain 3,100 feet.
Descend and maintain 3,100 feet, pre-motioning 7007 heavy.
It's weird the speed is not decreasing. Maybe we use the speed brakes if needed to expedite, and also set the flaps now to 50%.
Overspeed.
Promotioning 7007 heavy. You are 13 miles southeast of San Francisco. Contact San Francisco Tower on 120.5 when inbound on the approach.
Tower on 120.5, pre-motioning 7007 heavy. San Francisco Tower, pre-motioning 7007 heavy, 12 miles southeast.
Okay,
Inbound
all looks
ILS
good.
runway
We're very
28 left
close to the
approach.
Heeman waypoint. We'll be soon hitting the approach button, so the ILS will activate for auto landing.
Altimeter 30.09er, wind 360 at 4.
Okay, approach activated. Landing gear down. You can now see the plane with catch the glide slope, and it will descend slowly around 3-degree glide slope automatically. I just enabled the guidance line, just for familiarity's sake for new users, so you can see the runway line clearly as it's a bit cloudy. At this point, we have to do nothing. The plane will land itself. Only thing to do is just pull up flare just before touchdown, and then after touchdown, reduce throttle to idle, and then reverse thrust on all wheels down.
Skywest 5571 heavy. United 1449.
Let's reduce speed a little more to 150 knots.
San Francisco Tower, American 1524 heavy 13 miles southeast, inbound ILS runway 28 right approach. United 1449er heavy contact ground on 124.25. American 1524 heavy San Francisco Tower. Altimeter tree 0.09er, wind tree 60 F4. Cleared ILS runway 28 right approach. Clear to land runway 28 right.
Okay, we're just now turning all the landing lights and other lights on proactively.
American 2428 heavy number tree for landing. Follow the Airbus A380 on final. Wind tree 60 F4. Caution the Airbus A380 landing runway 28 left.
Looks like the airport is busy with mini landings, so the ATC may ask us to go around, which means cannot land at this time. But for the video's sake, we will just ignore the ATC and land.
Caution the Airbus A380 landing runway 28 right. Clear to land runway 28 left. Frontier flight 2677 heavy turn next taxiway. Skywest 5571 heavy turn next taxiway.
Cleared to land runway 28 left, number 4 pre-motioning 7007 heavy.
500.
Delta 669er heavy number 4
Okay,
landing.
I'm seeing a problem with our speed not reducing. I'm going to disconnect the auto throttle and then manually reduce speed.
Caution the Airbus A380 landing runway 28 left.
300.
Clear to land runway 28 right. Frontier flight 2677 heavy contact ground on 121.8. Promotioning 7007 heavy go around.
60. 50.
Skywest 5571 heavy exit runway when able.
Retard.
Skywest 5571 heavy contact ground on 124.25.
Okay, now just reduce throttle and the reverse thrust and brake.
Number 2 Skywest 589er heavy. Skywest 589er heavy number tree for landing. Follow the Airbus A380 on the runway. Wind 047 at 5. Caution the Airbus A380 landing runway 28 left. Clear to land runway 28 right.
Looks like there are a couple planes already waiting to exit. Just for new users, these are actual real-time, live flights, even though the airline logo is not on them. You can see by the flight number.
Caution the Airbus A380 landing runway 28 left. Clear to land runway 28 right. American 2428 heavy turn next taxiway.
Okay, let's wait behind this guy in front. Looks like a Delta airline from the flight number.
United 984 heavy, you were not cleared to land. Clear the runway. Porter 669er heavy number 2 for landing.
Okay, that's rude. Looks like this guy doesn't want to wait. This happens in the system just to show all live flights. So even though it looks like colliding, there won't be any collision.
Clear to land runway 28 left. American 24.
I'm trying now to tune to the ground frequency so we can get a gate to pull into. But in this flight model, there's sometimes a bug where it won't show the options. If that's the case, we will just pick a gate and pull into it.
Frontier flight 2677 heavy taxi to gate Bravo 1 tree via taxiway Echo Cross runway 10 right
Yeet.
Echo Alpha.
So it's a problem. So let's pick a gate down at the terminal over there and then pull in. Because there's a bug and we couldn't request a gate, we won't see the marshal directing and guiding us and all that.
Caution the Airbus on the taxiway. Frontier flight 2677 heavy, continue taxi.
can see how big this plane is compared to others. That's why you can just pull into any gate. You need a large clearance.
Frontier Flight 2677 Heavy, continue taxi. Roger, Critter 67 Heavy. Taxiing to gate Bravo 1 tree using taxiway Echo Cross runway 10 right Echo Alpha Frontier Flight 2677 Heavy.
Okay, we are here. Let's set the brakes. We can now request the jetway connection.
San Francisco ground pre-motioning 7007 Heavy. Could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Pre-motioning 7007 Heavy to jetway is going to be connected.
The jetway is connecting. Once that's done, we will turn off the engines. The 4 switches at the bottom of the throttle. Now turning of all the landing's lights and other lights. And then seatbelt sign to off. Those are the 4 switches that turns off the engines. You can check outside the engines are shutting off.
San Francisco ground Porter 669er Heavy taxi to the gate. Porter 669er Heavy taxi to gate Delta 7 using taxiway Echo Bravo Delta Alpha.
Okay, now finally, we will turn to the batteries. And that will be the end of the flight. Check us again for other fun flights.
Via taxiway Echo Bravo Delta Alpha Porter.